Former CIA operative and CEO, chairman of Portman Square Group, Mike Baker, plus retired U.S. Air Force Brigadier General and former U.S. Deputy Military Representative to NATO, Blaine Holt. Blaine, I'm kind of curious about your thoughts here. We've had a few days as this has unfolded. I know you've been right on top of it. What are your thoughts now?
Well, it's great to be with you and Mike. I'll just tell you that on its whole, at the highest level, it's just another big weakness milestone that imperils our national security. This began with this administration, with the Chinese in Alaska, and them handing it to us publicly, troops massing on the Ukraine border. Then we see the disaster that is Kabul. And here we are with a massive war that's from before it started in Ukraine. And now this. Listen, don't make any mistake. If this was reversed, I would even be worried about civilians in an airliner that had strayed off course into Chinese airspace. So their suppositions and all of this is nonsense. It should have been knocked down well before it hit the Alaskan landmass.
Well, and I'm a little surprised. I know a little bit about where you gentlemen live. And I'm surprised both of you didn't take it out before it reached South Carolina. But that's so, Mike, let me get your thoughts because I think it went directly overhead of both of you at some point.
It did. I was in D.C.
Okay. So, Mike, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, look, I agree with Blaine absolutely. If it had been a U.S. Surveillance platform disguised as the Chinese regime claims as a civilian use weather device, they would have taken immediate action to remove it from their airspace, knowing that we wouldn't have escalated the issue. And frankly, we should have done the same thing. This idea that we wanted to be careful about, not injuring anybody on the ground. We had plenty of time to shoot this down when it was over very remote territory. And we could, do that knowing that the Chinese regime, even the fact that Xi has been very aggressive over the years as he's cemented his place in the Chinese regime, they weren't going to escalate this. They may be banging the drum and talking about, they're open to having a response to our shooting down the balloon, but they're not going to.
Yeah, when the administration said we're concerned about Montana, that somebody might get hurt on the ground, I'm thinking, have they ever been to Montana? Because I have, and you could just tell people, hey, stay indoors for a little bit, and it's going to hit out in the middle of nowhere anyway. Blaine, how seriously should we take this? Because it sounds like China, when you look at their response, if we could show that, we've got a full screen, that they could take further actions, an obvious overreaction and a serious violation of international practice. And Mike, you were just kind of alluding to this. It's a lot of tough talk, but Blaine, what should be done?
Well, so what I'm really concerned about is how lackadaisical and presumptive we were about what we were looking at. We were told, oh, it's just a surveillance craft. There is no threat to America except a debris field if we shoot it down. How would you know? You wouldn't have perfect intelligence about what's on board that thing. It is flying over key installations in our nuclear fields. What if there was an electromagnetic pulse device on board? What if it was spraying something? You have no way to know that. And you don't even have NORAD call the governor of Montana to alert them that an unauthorized bird was transiting Montana airspace.
Yeah.
This is not what the American people expect procedurally of how to protect us. We spend nearly $1 trillion a year on our national security and a lot more when you take in the interagency. Yeah. We ought to be getting more for our dollar.
Mike, we've got 15 seconds. Your final thought here.
Yeah, look, if it indeed was a weather device that they were flying around and apparently they claim had no control over it, honest to God, do what we do. Use a groundhog. You don't need highly scientific, devices to figure out what the weather's going to do. Just, pull a groundhog out of his cave and call it good. I think what we need to do is, all kidding aside, we need to understand the relationship with China better. We need to be more realistic. We talk about how we're escalating this. Look, China already views themselves at war with us.
Yeah.
And they have for years and years, because in their minds, they're going Their eventual end is to get to the top of the food chain.
Yeah, and I'm not sure this administration or a lot of Americans understand that, Mike. So that's going to change. We either get it now or we'll get it later. Mike Baker, General Blaine Holt. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thanks a lot, Bob.
Well, the balloon is sure to be a topic at tomorrow night's State of the Union. This is the second one he's going to deliver, this time with Speaker Kevin McCarthy over his shoulder. Newsmax Chief White House Correspondent James Rosen.
Take care, guys.
On the North Lawn. James.
Bob, good afternoon to you. This is certainly not where President Biden and his allies in the Congress hoped they would be at this moment, the dawn of the president's third year in office. They thought ahead of the State of the Union address that they would be solidly focused on their achievements to date.